Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if we can get some startup time. Startup time. Leadership in Crisis, Part 4. It's called Real Leadership. We have some nuggets for you today. Please tag your friends. Tag, invite people. I'm going to have a little music playing here in the background to get us started. How's everybody doing today? Let's get it pumped up a little bit. We adore thee. Come on. Joyful, joyful. Join in the worship today. We have so much to be grateful for. The opportunity to still show up as leaders, show up in our best selves. It's a choice, guys. It's a choice. I'm not telling you to take off your robes. That's from the song. Can everybody hear? Can you hear me? Can you hear? Let me know if you can hear me out there. Wave. Tell me where you're signing in from. Let's see how far we can reach today. This is our last teaching session for the Mastermind, but we have more goodies to come. Just listen to the music as we come in today. Tagging people, bringing them in. You ready to start? Be starting at 12 noon. All right. 12 noon or 5 p.m., depending on where you are. Lunchtime, rush hour. We adore thee. Yes. Yes, we're starting it on the hour. It will give us a little time to join in and listen to Joyful, Joyful. It's our choice today. Let me know where you're dialing in from. Leadership in crisis, real leadership. What does that look like? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Not fake, not fake, not fake news, not fake leaders, real leaders. How do we show up as real leaders? He watches over us, yes. Yeah. Joyful joy, joyful joy. What's getting your ginger up? What's getting your spirit up today? I'm feeling it today. I don't know about y'all. I'm going to bring it. Feeling love. Feeling love. Feeling love. Feeling love, yes. Feeling love. Feeling love. We need you. We need you. We need you. Woo. Yes, joyful, joyful day. It's what we choose for it to be, everybody. It's what we choose today. So much is bombarding us and trying to push into our lives, but it's up to us. It's what we choose. Yeah. Joyful, joyful, Lord. How are we doing? I'm not seeing anybody telling me where they're coming in from. I'm dialing in from Raleigh, North Carolina. Jamila, talk to me, sister. Where are you dialing in from? Where are you dialing in from?
I wish you were here. You know how much money we're losing from the patients you're not treating?
Whoops. Jamila? My sister, my Sarah, hey, you ready to do Leaderships in Crisis today? Real leadership. We're up on part 4. This is our final day for the Mastermind. If you haven't signed up, you better get with it and join the Dream Builders Facebook group. We have so many resources there. We're going to be talking about leadership character. How's your character showing up? What types of probes can you do on yourself so that you can grow and be the leader that everyone needs to be? You know, Nelson Mandela said that be the leader that you want to see. Be that person. Don't wait for other people to do it. Come on, come on. Hi, Jibs. Hey, Vincent. Where you dialing in from? Are you all over the world now? Tell me where you're coming in from, cuz. Where are you dialing in from, Vincent? We're going to be talking about real leadership in crisis, part 4 of our mastermind today. This is just a service to get us all in this community. We talked quite a bit about, in our earlier session, on footprints and how in that poem, it just really talks about, oftentimes if we use our natural mind, we can't see what's at play. If you use a spiritual mind, you can look deeper and see more. And know that at the time that it was just one set of footprints, that's when God carried us. Now, aren't each of us an expression of who God is? So why resist the opportunity, or why not join the opportunity to carry one another? Be our brother's keeper. And in this leadership journey, have all of us show up, whether it's a leader of our families, leader of our communities, leaders in our organization. Leadership is not a title. It's a set of behaviors. It's a beliefs. It's acting through your character. So it's just an opportunity to kind of get together, remind ourselves of how great we are. Put some principles out there. If there's some new nuggets you can dig into and take away, hallelujah, that's what we're looking for. But if you can also begin to discover new things about yourself, if you're able to question yourself and just dig deeper and get a deeper understanding of who you are, learn some lessons from other people's lives. One of the things I'm going to be posting, it's really been in my spirit, I don't know why, but if you're gonna look at TV during this time, because some people are really on it, they're Netflixed and hoodoo, voodoo, all of that. But one of the things I learned, and Kobe Bryant talks a lot about this, as well as one of our leaders in John Maxwell, Chris Robinson. He says if you're going to look at TV, make sure that you're looking at biographies, biopics. And I've really been enjoying that during the break. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that. I watched Self-Made, which is the story of Madam C.J. Walker. She's the first self-made female millionaire in America. And this was during a time where women couldn't even vote. Can you imagine? So I watched that story and I saw so many aspects of what we teach in terms of building your dream, about those 10 questions, the ownership and the tenacity and the pathway. And what I love about watching biographies is have you noticed they never have a biography about average people? You never see a book, you never see a movie about the people who just live average, middle of the road lives. You only see books about people who have poked up as flowers in the asphalt, right? And often we only know about their greatness. And sometimes if you just know about the greatness of a person or individual, of an event or experience, it's difficult for you to connect that you could ever be that great. But when you watch those biopic movies and when you read the biography and you really got to see what they had to overcome in order to reach that level, the learnings, the experiences, the turning points where they had to, thank you for that. Is my volume any better now? The turning points that they had to, give me a thumbs up if we're good now. The turning points and decisions that they had to make in order to be that greatness that, became the thing that they were known for. And for some of them, that greatness, was just a short period in their lives. And the ungreatness, if you want to call it, the struggle, the difficulty, the how am I going to make it? And everybody think I'm crazy because I'm doing something that's different and not, part of the linear plan that people expect for you to, go to school, find someone you love, go to university, get your degree, work a job, don't own a business, don't necessarily stand out, but, conform and sit in. And most people who follow those paths in their lives, and it may not be your motivation, but the point of it is very few people who do that end up with a biography being written about them or a movie. So I want to always encourage people to personalize that leadership journey and find someone that you can relate to by looking at the movies. I looked at Cadillac Records over the weekend as well. That's another one that shows the rise of Chess Records and the decisions that they had to make. Muddy Waters, Little Walter, Chuck Berry, Etta James, Leonard Chess. What are some of those decisions and moves they had to make? I watched Rocket Man as well. I had no idea Elton John had gone through all those issues, and he overcame them. And the point is, you can overcome them. And it takes vision. Harriet Tubman, my brother and I watched that one. When would we see that? The first day it came out, because that's how we do. We go to movies on the first day it came out. My brother and I guess it was in October, we saw Harriet Tubman. And that movie, Harriet, when you talk about vision, she had fainting spells and was able to see and hear what God's voice was to her and how she should move on a particular journey. Now, all of us may not have matured our level of conversation with God, because Wayne Dyer always says prayer is how we speak to God, but intuition is how God speaks to us. But if we practice intuition and if we practice having that quiet time to have that download from the Lord and that download from the greater consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, but I believe most people won't argue that there is a force that's larger than all of us. I happen to believe in Jesus Christ. But the point is, the intuition and being able to download that. We talked a lot about that yesterday. And we talked about those 6 faculties, intellectual capabilities, intellectual faculties, of which intuition is one of them, imagination. There are several of them, but being able to have that vision and have that vision be so compelling that it drives you to action, it drives you to enlist others to move on the journey with you. That's that leadership, and that's so many people die with their dreams inside of them. How many of you have seen others come out with your great ideas that you actually, had inside of you, but you didn't do the work. You didn't take the struggle. You didn't, make it happen. I'm looking for you to let me know where you're tuning in from. What I want to do is I'm going to just share from the last session. We needed to have a recap. And what I wanted to do was, as we talked about the characteristics for crisis, what I mentioned to you is there is a character value kind of assessment where you're able to take the assessment and it gives you feedback on some of it's 24 different virtues, and I told you there were 6 domains of them. But basically, once you take that assessment, it comes back to you to let you know what your top 5 values are. And once you get into the Dream Builders Facebook group, you'll be able to see how you can use those, and we'll talk a little bit about it today, but this is more or less giving you the taster, but the main meal will be inside the Dream Builder Facebook group. But you'll be looking at, how do I now use who I am and the strengths that I have to show up in the best way as a leader? There are some people who can run the ball. There's some people who can catch the ball. There's some people who can kick the ball. Given my particular strengths across, how should I be showing up? What should I be, really focusing on in terms of having the most impact as a leader with bringing calm and being visible? So just hitting on some recaps from yesterday is, what lessons did you learn about character in crisis from the session yesterday? What are the, in a crisis? All right. Welcome, Marv. How you doing, Marvin Cradle? It's been a minute. Neridia, how you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. What are 3 character qualities that you have not developed that you are concerned may affect you negatively in this time of crisis? And like I said, you will be able to go through this character quick assessment. It only takes about 10 minutes, but I did it a couple weeks ago, and it really helped me along understanding how I need to show up and be the best that I can. How you doing, Neridia? Where y'all dialing in from? Tell me where you're dialing in from. We've got Marv, we got Neridia. I think we have a multi-continent audience today. I just want to test. Where are you dialing in from, Marv? And Neridia, and Gabriel, and Vincent, and Jamila, talk to us. The DMV. All right, you're trying to get legal. Which country and which state? I'm assuming you're in the States, right? Maybe you can show them some leadership at the DMV. Namdi and I were there a couple weeks ago, and they had us doing social distancing in the line outside. You had to stand 6 feet, and they only let a certain number of people in, and they kept, you would wonder where the leadership was, because they kept coming with new requirements. Every time we would, go in there, something else had been added as a requirement. Is that leadership? It didn't feel, it made for a very difficult experience. So I'm hoping we all can show up as better leaders in situations by providing clarity, even when there's uncertainty. And God knows that in situations like this, that any crisis that you're in is a case study for uncertainty. So it's being able to, Loudon. Oh, okay. My address is actually Leesburg, so I know that area quite well. So very good. When I get up that way, I have to check you out. Exactly, like the RTP. So I'm dialing in from RTP. I'm dialing in from Raleigh, and some of you know my story, but they closed the window on Nigeria just as we were trying to get back in, and now we're here. Some of us, watched. So I've got the West Africa, and I've got the North America kind of thing going. But at the end of the day, all of us are being affected by this thing that is unprecedented. Even if we try to rehearse it, it's probably nothing that any of us had seen before. I have shared on the previous sessions about my crisis experience and needing to be a leader when at Shell we had a terrorist attack where they exploded a bomb within one of our residential areas at the club. Thankfully, no one was hurt. It was only physical damage. But as a result, we had to evacuate 500 people out of the country with 2 days' notice and over a 2-day period. So it was mothers, fathers, little kids right before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas. It was the 21st and 22nd of December. And that whole process, when I relate back to these attributes and these habits and these actions, how we need to show up as leaders, I think about that experience for myself. How you doing, Anita? How you doing, Norman? Because oftentimes, you've heard people say that experience made me a leader. I was forged as a crisis. What my experience shows and what this lesson really is bringing out is that the choices that we have made in our life really determine what character we have. And that is just only revealed when the crisis comes. It's not when you squeeze the orange that it switches out from lemon juice to having orange juice in it. It's an orange all the time. So when you squeeze it, that's what you're going to get. So if you've already been, in your mind, building some discipline, valuing people first, putting people first in your leadership journey, deciding that you need to be a servant at the top, at the bottom, in service to their goals and objectives, knowing even in uncertainty, what are the things I have control of? What are the things that I don't? And in that space, providing clarity. One of the first things a leader needs to do is define the situation, define the crisis. What are the guardrails we're going to fall, in between? So that's what we've been talking about. And session one was, what was session one? Session one was defining the leadership crisis. And then day 2 was battling distractions. And yesterday we went through character. Today, this is just real leadership. And then we're going to go through some of the concluding activities. So let me just get through some of these reflective questions that if you write it down and begin to look at for yourself, what are the 3 practical steps that you can take in the next 30 days to strengthen those qualities? And these are the questions that you will apply after you take the assessment that's on the, we'll be posting on the Dream Builders group. So if I think Jibs has posted a couple times how you can sign up so that you can get access. There will be tons of resources there. The John Hope Franklin paraphrase. I did some readings last night and posted and shared. And what that really talked about was love, leadership, and Operation Hope. And, in times like these, it's good that we can find models of leadership. And I think John Hope Franklin really is one. Think of the leaders you've identified in the previous lessons that you felt led well in time of crisis. Again, what key characteristics can you identify that influence their success? And from that, add your own personality to it. What are the strengths? What are the things that you can actually bring in for yourself? So we've come to the final session, and the things I want to really talk about is crisis is a time when leaders need to be extremely visible. And what we talked about was, it wasn't about communicating all the time. It's about communicating judiciously. It's about being available to provide calm, assuredness, hope, but also about being credible. Some people struggle with, I don't have all the answers. We don't require that leaders have all the answers. What we require from leaders is a forthrightness, being able to show some of their vulnerabilities and say, this is what I know and this is what I don't know. But in that clarity of what you do know, define that single mission so people can keep moving. Because I tell you what, in the absence of the truth and in the absence of something to really focus on, a lot of darkness comes in. I was looking last night and it was like a scoreboard, 23,000. I saw 23,000 on TV. It just stuck in my mind, 23,000. That's the number of people that were at my university at the time I was there, that whole student body. When I look at, that's the number that they're reporting of people that have died in the U.S. If you don't have some way to filter and something else to focus on, you can be drugged down by all this doomsday stuff. You've got to choose, make choices. So your character is the result of choices that you've taken before now. Your capability and your experiences and your resilience is the result of choices that you've taken before now. But if you haven't built all those characteristics to where they need to be, it's not too late. Because self-awareness and acknowledgement of an issue to be addressed is the beginning of the solution, isn't it? So it's not too late. I wanted to just share an example of the Israeli army that we talk about being visible and being able to provide calm and assurance. Did you know that in the Israeli army, more senior officers die than the infantry or the frontline people, supposedly? And I know some of my children have gone to school with Israeli kids. And as soon as you graduate from high school, you have to give, I think it's 2 years in the Israeli army. So everybody goes through the army. So it's it's a culture. It's a piece of respect, you know. So it's a requirement. So you finish that, then you go to university or whatever. But in the Israeli army, the Israeli leaders or the officers die in percentage-wise, excuse me, higher than the infantry, because they have a practice of the leaders go first and visibly lead. The infantry should be able to see the back of the officers, the back of the leaders. That's because their whole mantra is for the leaders to go first. How many of us are in organizations where we send the junior people as pawns, those pawns on the chessboard, and let them get knocked out? Or we send people where there's not clarity, and you know, you just want them to go. How many of you have been the ones that have been sent? It's like, what's the mission? What's the mandate? What is that we're doing? And you have a leader that's showing up in a way that's not clear. It's not confidence building. Excuse me. So I think the model of the Israeli military is a good one to follow in terms of being out front and being that leader that leads the way and shows that I may not have all the answers, but here's the direction we're moving. Again, we've talked about single mission, multiple perspectives. Pardon me. So, other examples that have actually come out during the COVID crisis, saw in Inc.com a couple weeks ago, but now the Delta Airlines CEO sent an email to everyone. Everyone should read. And he said, we are prepared, we've learned, and we've taken action. So taking a very definitive statement and communicating it to your key stakeholders, showing up early with clarity, show up with hope. Very, very, very important as a leader. And you know, the optimism versus hope. I want to make a distinguishment because people have optimism, but optimism doesn't take much courage, does it? Because optimism is saying that we believe we can get better. Whereas hope is actively saying we can work together to make things better. Which one moves you toward the result? It's hope. And it's that hope that people are looking for in their leaders when they show up. You know, we talk about taking lemons, a sour situation, and making it into lemonade. One of a framework that John Maxwell applies and really makes sense to me is the leadership decision framework is called PGE. PGE. P, first question is, what is the potential for pain in this particular situation? What are the things that can go wrong? So if you're in engineering or manufacturing, you're thinking about failure mode. What can go wrong and how bad can it be? What's the severity? So pain, what's the potential pain in a challenge that we're facing or the crisis that we're facing? Then you need to look at the other side for G, which is gain. What's the potential gain? What could take us forward instead of backwards? What might be some benefit in this situation? Because, you know, let's look at it economically. I figure that coming out of here, any type of cleaning company, sanitation standards, those kind of companies are going to do very, very well as those who are any part of the logistics of delivering things are going to do well. So there's a gain, but you got to sometimes look for it with a different lens, right? Gain altitude to see it. So first is P is for pain. What's the pain in the situation? G is gain. What's the gain in the situation or potential? And the third one is E for experience. Experience. What experience do I or my team have in this particular situation? You know, there was an example of and some of you have been in this situation where you've been on the flights where it's bouncy, 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 and you've got so much turbulence. If you've ever been in a situation where the plane actually touched the ground and your life is just like shaking, right? You're saying, oh my God, but then immediately that pilot lifts back up in the air. That's an example of where experience really kicks in. And sometimes we don't always know because we haven't taken an inventory. That's why as leaders, we must know our people and know the capabilities and know ourselves. This particular pilot in the situation that I'm describing where they were having a lot of turbulence and they hit the ground, you know, we had a conversation with the pilot afterwards, and the pilot basically said, I know that in the air, I have a lot more maneuverability, a lot more options. Welcome, Kate. Welcome, Barbara. I have a lot more options. So it wasn't that I learned in the moment and when I hit the ground to go back up. It's something that I've been practicing. It's scenarios as leaders that we need to be knowing and building the skill and capability, so when the opportunity presents itself, we just kick into gear and we know what we need to do. So in that leadership decision framework, when you're faced with a volatile or a crisis situation, apply the P, the G, and the E. Pain, potential gain. Potential pain. All right, thank you, Marvin. Hopefully you got something good about it. Post it and let us know. If you have any questions, let me know and just put it into the group. Take care. Oh, it wasn't DMV. I get you now. The area is called DMV. All right. And gain. Hello. How you doing? Gain, what's the potential gain and experience? Let me know if you think this model might help you. Is this something that you can see being of help? Just give me a wave, give me a shout, give me a little star or something. Let me know. I want to shift a bit and cycle back into our character and our characteristics yesterday. I want to go deeper and just share from the character strengths perspective, coping specifically with coronavirus. What are some ways that we can begin to use some of our character strengths? Okay, see if my screen is not going to work with me here. Okay, so as I went through there, basically 24 characters in terms of strengths, and I told you there were six different domains. So in those domains, we've got name your positive coping strategies. So one thing I'd like for you to take action for right now is start by doing, what are 2 or 3 positive coping strategies that I've applied in this situation that we're going through right now with COVID? What is the best, healthiest thing I've done so far to cope with anxieties or stress related to coronavirus? Feel free to type them on the screen just to share. What types of things have we done? And as you look closely, and this will become easier once you look at your character strengths, but there's a power in thinking it through yourself before you start getting so much of the format. So if, for example, if your response had to do with frequent hand washing, then you can see, and these are some of the qualities, how prudence, self-kindness, and self-regulation play out here. If your response involved using exercise or activity to keep your immune system strong, then your strength of zest would be part of this. If your response involved coming up with new activities in the home to do with your family, then strengths of creativity and leadership can be found there. So those are examples where you inventory, what am I already doing? What seems to be natural to me and what seems to be working? Welcome, Cheryl. Glad to see you. The second one then is to use your strength of judgment and critical thinking. So in the judgment strength, this is used when you need to focus on facts, not just the scary media stories. Those who are strong in this strength are able to look at the details of a new situation from multiple angles. Remember we talked about adaptability. And I think too, maybe I'll bring in kind of something that I use is in the middle of a diamond, let's say, is the truth in the center. So you've got all these different facets and everyone is going to see the issue from their own facet and their own perspective. I use this when I look at shareholders or stakeholders' perspective, and we can also use that when we're leading. Because remember, I told you it's a single mission, it's the thing in the middle, right? That's the truth, that's the goal, that's the piece, that's the given. But the lens through which everyone sees it is going to make a difference in how they actually perceive what the truths are. That's why as leaders sometimes we have to reinforce and say, this is what I see, is this what you see? But through their different lens, that's where their different experiences are going to show up. That's where their different beliefs are going to show up. Even where their fears in their emotional grounding is going to show up. But being able to set up things so people can see a situation from multiple angles and you then bring it out
and show your empathy. Remember, people first. You need to be empathetic to be able to say, you may see it from these different angles. And then don't get lost in one angle or one person's story. Be able to move around and see things there. When you apply that judgment and critical thinking, some of the things you need to ask yourself really are, what are the facts here? What are the actual details as opposed to one pundit's opinion? We talked about in session 1 of defining the crisis. This is the skill that is called up. This is the strength that is called up in terms of our character. We talked about going to WHO, going to the source of the people who definitely know and not those putting a spin on the situation. But what are the newest statistics revealing? What are we learning? Is one side of the issue being overplayed? What are the other sides of the issue? So trying to get a balanced view. Am I becoming emotionally wrapped up in one possible scenario, one story I heard, or one detail? So you yourself bring your own judgment and critical thinking. Ask yourself these things. If you're getting answers that are not on mark with the leadership that you want to be able to bring to your situation, then it's not too late to change. All right? Awareness is the first step. Of the 6 things we can do is to use your strength of perspective. Perspective is a character strength that involves really keeping a big picture in mind, right? While it's easy to get stuck in a lot of the details, like for me, 23,000 really got me yesterday, and I really had to snap out of it. And perspective helps you to do that. Perspective, while it's easy to get sucked into the atrocious details and a fearful future, perspective minds remind ourselves of the wider issues. Of that 23,000, what is millions now that have not passed away, right? Look at the wider issues, seeing the people come out of the hospitals now victorious, they've overcome it, they're on the healing side. Welcome, Celestine. They're on the healing side of this thing with COVID-19. That's the wider view. That's understanding, what can I do? And I even saw something today where I decided for myself I'm going to go donate blood, because that's also something that's within my control. Because in these situations, sometimes you feel powerless, but that's something I can control. I can go share, and that's going to make a difference in the situation. I was discussing with someone this earlier today. In Nigeria, one of the challenges is that the people who live on the poverty line are becoming violent, right? Because they're hungry. You've got people, robbery and all kinds of things that are showing up. That may not happen in other places, but the response to the situation can't be the same globally. We've got to look at our specific situation and have that bigger picture. So we were brainstorming on how could you get a mama put or whatever to make, dishes or food or give out, so you're controlling and know where the money is going when you donate and then providing it. So finding and looking at the wider perspective and understanding how this particular issue can touch people who are in different levels in our culture, in our society. How can we make a difference there? How might we want to show up as a leader there? Those are just examples. So it's not saying when you get a larger perspective that you don't worry anymore, but you need to make sure that you're not giving fear and worry the keys to your car. They may need to be in your car, but they shouldn't be driving. Put fear in the back seat, and you keep focused on the mission of, well-being, emotional well-being. Don't you know if we let all of this fear and worry soak into our bodies, it actually weakens our immune system. We have to find, I was playing at the beginning of the session, joyful, joyful Lord, we adore thee, to lift my spirits and just lift us. Guys, we can't see far if we stand low. We've got to be lifted to see possibilities and ways that we can move forward and do even more. So exercising your strength of perspective. So as you gather multiple sources of information, step back. It's like a puzzle. Put different pieces together, and then you can think about, if I want to lead my family to do something and be focused on something, because in the absence of having a focus and a mission, sometimes it can leave your mind to wander, and you get into these, woe is me and, doomsday. So, what are some things you can do by operating your strength of perspective that may help to bring clarity and focus and some accomplishment? One thing I've been challenging myself with is having at least 2 major goals a day and having 2 people that I'm going to reach out and catch up with and just plug into. That's how I've looked at my PGE in this space, in this crisis. And I've been having a wonderful time renewing relationships. How many people are spending time on LinkedIn, getting recommendations or getting people, to connect? Guys, time is the only currency we can never get back. So how are we using it? And using the strength of perspective will have these types of possibilities bubbling up for you. Other ones, you use the strength of prudence, and that's caution levels of heightened prudence is being collectively evaluated in society. There is good wisdom in this, but you can use your prudence to think before you act, to plan, to prepare, and prevent. So in exercising that, think safety first before you engage in activities in the public or being around large groups. So we know all of this. Make a plan that will take necessary precautions and prioritize health. I'm not going to go deeper on this because most of us know what we need to do. But learning more and paying attention and kind of testing, do things make sense? Because there's so much misinformation out there, again, we're just encouraging people to go to the source. Go to the best unadulterated source to get the best information. Use your sense of self-regulation. So that was the discipline of washing your hands. Manage your strengths of overuse and underuse. So kind of balance it. So overusing your love of learning by watching the news 20 hours a day. Is that good? Yeah. Yes, you should learn about what's happening in the details, but too much of this strength can leave you drained, panicked, and downright disturbed. If this sounds like you, consider taking a news fast for a short period of time. I know some pastors are talking about that, fasting from the news. Or allow yourself to only receive a news summary at the end of the day. Find ways to filter so you're not having that overwhelm. The other side of it is that's an overuse of a skills, overuse of a character, the love of learning. But is your prudence and caution working in overdrive? Been working on your bunker a bit too much so that you're a doomsday bunker? Managing the overuse of your prudence, as mentioned, overuse of your creativity. Are you finding yourself being shut in, becoming bored at home? Turn your creativity. Use your indoor location as an opportunity to come up with creative games. So all of those, don't underuse your character, because you may be very creative. I'm doing a session tomorrow night where with some ladies we're going to be working through gratitude jars. I've sent them assignments about gratitude letters and how to leverage that part. So that's creativity. We're going to be in a Zoom making the jars and decorating them together and having a little fun. That's creativity. It's also raising our emotional well-being by sending gratitude to others and growing that whole sense of ourselves. Welcome, Latrika. Good to see you. So these are all ways that will be detailed in the Dream Builder Facebook group. So all you need to do is sign up. It's been put up as a link. I think Jips can probably do that again so you can see how to register, and you'll get access to tons of resources. In the coming week, we're going to be providing more services and just building our community, because if not us, then who? If we don't take care of ourselves and begin to rescue and lift ourselves, who's going to do it for us? So from the beginning, I've shared with you that our goal is to listen to you, to support you, encourage you, inspire and motivate into action, and to help you. We've had people reach out, if they want individual coaching through particular toward goals that they have in this season. We certainly are available for that. But this is a mastermind, so that the mastermind guide, the participant guide, takes you through questions that if you dig deeper into yourself, you're going to find and learn some things. And guess what? Knowing and doing are not the same thing. That's why everything that I've been talking about in terms of the principles, we bring out stories, we bring out statistics, we talk about, models, but then you must go and apply it, because that's the only way that it becomes a part of who you are. So, there are studies on emotional well-being, that people know that doing gratitude and spending time on gratitude can make them happier, but you don't get happier automatically just by knowing the concept. You've got to actually do it. Just like tying the types of careers and work that you do, vocation, into your strengths. We now know that will help with wellness and happiness. But so many people still go after jobs for making the most money. So, and once you make the money, it no longer makes you happy because you've already satisfied it. So you need to find what's that deeper thing for me. So that exploration and that journey is what coaching sometimes can bring out of you. So those are opportunities. So moving forward, what's upcoming for Patrenia Speaks, we have a mindfulness pack that we'll be sharing via the Dream Builders Facebook group. And that mindfulness is just so powerful in terms of tapping in, savoring, becoming very present. And remember, we talked about the intuition. Mindfulness is a wonderful way to begin to quiet yourself so that you can hear the voice of God. So you can hear, what are those messages that maybe things have just been too loud for you to hear. And quite honestly, guys, it's a way to pull away from everything. The mindfulness that we'll be teaching, we believe that it's an opportunity for you to grow within yourself, from yourself, and outward. We'll also be kicking off our Leap to More series, which is, I think I have a book here. Or maybe not. It's a book by... it's covered. It's a book by Andy Thompson. He's a pastor here in Raleigh in Durham, North Carolina. World Over Commerce. Not an advertisement for World Over Commerce, but this book has so much in here about overcoming doubt and understanding how faith really works. Do you think this is a good message for this period? Do you think this is a good message? So I'll be doing teachings built from this. There'll be some other materials added in it and exercises, but it's going through this book study. Feel free you could buy it online or whatever if you want. But we'll be starting this on April 22nd, and we'll be doing it via the Dream Builders group, and we'll be doing it, on a Zoom platform. You do not want to miss this. I mean, see this mountain? The whole mountain journey. We did a Leap to More series that kicked off this particular teaching in Nigeria at the end of February. What we'll do is we'll load some clips from that experience, just so you can see how powerful the teachings are here. And if applied, you'll know how to navigate the mountains on your journey to a more significant life, on your journey to more. So please don't miss out on more. Leaping to more. This is a leap year, right? We're going to leap there in spite of it all, because these are just mountains. And once you know how to face the mountain, then you know how to get past it, get through it, go around it, go under it. All right? So I had some questions from yesterday, and I'm looking if there are any questions today on the content, what we've gone through, defining the crisis. And I'll send a quick update, kind of a recap video as well, so that you can get the major points. But what we want you to do is make sure that you become a part of our Dream Builder community, where there's tons of, we have videos, we have assessments, we have more teachings that go into different areas, putting your dream to the test. Information is there, sessions myself and KDEV run. So it's resources there are available for you to explore yourself. Don't miss this opportunity. The world may never be on pause the way it is right now, where you can go deep and dig your nuggets and become the leader and the person that you want to be. All right? So thank you very much, and it was my pleasure to spend time with you today. Patrenia Speaks. I'd like to thank my team who's on the call with me today. We're going to keep growing and keep growing people who grow people. All right? Have a good day. Bye-bye.